everyone, and welcome back to Whimsy Creek Art. My name is Megan and welcome to the channel. I am going to do a video today on what is fluid acrylics, what is pour painting, what is pouring medium, what is Floetrol. And this is what we commonly use as a pouring medium in this art form. A lot of people use a lot of different things as their pouring medium, but we can use acrylic paint, and people use a lot of different brands of acrylic paint. Pretty much any brand of acrylic paint works. I even use the cheapo apple barrel acrylic paints. I do stay away from some of the really light colors in the apple barrel brand. That's the only thing that I have noticed, the only paint for fluid acrylics that I have noticed that doesn't really work. Pretty much any other acrylic paint does work. The white, the lightest yellow, and the lightest blue on apple barrel tends to crack for me. Now the way I get around that is I can use the gloss version of all those colors. The apple barrel white gloss, it actually does work just great. It works just fine. So you can use the little 50-cent little cheapos on any of the colors on apple barrel paints. Just the white, I'd go with the little bit more expensive gloss or any other brand of acrylic paint for white. Alright, so today we're going to be using Deco Arts Americana, and this is a red violet. We are also going to be using some neon purple from Craft Essentials. And I'm just getting a little bit of each color in the bottom of each cup. And then we're going to go over how we mix it and what is the fluid acrylics. So they do sell fluid acrylics already pre-mixed, already mixed up, and they're coming out with more and more that's already mixed with the pouring medium. And all fluid acrylics is acrylic paint that some sort of pouring medium or even sometimes water has been added to it to give it to a more fluid consistency that's just a little bit more easier to manipulate the paint around and get it moving. And you can use many different things as your pouring medium, and that's what you're going to mix with your acrylic paint to make it a fluid acrylic. I use Floetrol. Now other people use glue, like regular old Elmer's glue. I cannot use the Elmer's glue because I do have actually an allergy to that. So I don't use glue, but there's many different recipes here on the internet on how to use the Elmer's glue as your pouring medium. And then there's a couple of artists that use plain old water. Now the only thing with water you need to be careful with is you want less than 30% water. If you get above 30% water, what will happen is you lose kind of, the paint starts to break away. The paints all have a binder in them, and they have pigment and they have binder. Well, if you get more than 30% water, you're going to lose that binder and the paint will start kind of somewhat falling apart. Alright, so what I use is I use Floetrol. Now Floetrol is sold at Home Depot, Lowe's, any painting stores, pretty much any contractor home stores. And so I always shake it up. And I always make sure to strain my Floetrol before I ever use it. I strain it out when I first get it. Alright, my recipe for paint, and I have several videos on actually my recipe for paint mixing. I have videos on the proper consistency. But today we're just going to talk basics. What is fluid acrylics? So right now I'm adding in 2 parts Floetrol to 1 part paint. And I just eyeball it. Some people get a little bit more serious with it and they get to where they're measuring and weighing out each ingredient. I just eyeball it. Alright, so I think in the last couple colors we forgot to go through. So we first have color red violet, then we have neon purple. Then we do have the folk art blue lullaby. And then we have Artist Loft's Bright or Brilliant Magenta. Then we also have a Phthalo Blue by the brand Cheap Acrylic Colors. Now this paint is my very, very favorite for fluid acrylics. This is a very good, it works with all different techniques. It's just a very good all-around paint. This is my very favorite for fluid acrylics. Right, now we mix these all up here. And so right now what we have is 2 parts Floetrol to 1 part paint. You mix it all up, and then you might need just a dash of water, and I'm talking just like a teaspoon, possibly 2. You don't need much. A couple of the paints was a little bit thicker. Those are the ones that might need a bit of water. You're looking for a warm honey or like melted ice cream consistency. What you're looking for is you're looking for the paint to sit across the top before it just sinks down perfectly, and you want it to come off of the end of your stick when you pick it up. You want it to come off in a nice ribbon. Alright, so I'm going to mix up all the rest of these and then I'll come back to you. Alright, now we have our paint all mixed up. So now what we have is fluid acrylics. We've taken acrylic paint and we've put it with a pouring medium. And in this case, our pouring medium is Floetrol. And I use 2 parts Floetrol, 1 part paint. And now I have no water in any of these. This magenta color I'm noticing is a bit thick. So I do have some water here, and I just keep it conveniently in a little bottle that I can keep it. See, I put very little. Now I mix that in and see if that's enough, and I may need to put some more. You always want to, can't take it away once you've put it in there, so you always want to go with as little as possible, and then you can keep putting a little bit more, a little bit more. Alright, so I do need just about the same amount, not much. Alright, that feels like more the same consistency you need. So it's not about getting the exact measurements down, it's more getting the consistency just right. That's more what you want. And that's for most acrylic pour techniques. Now there's a few techniques, the Dutch pour is one, for example. There's a few other techniques that you want maybe a little bit thinner paint, or some techniques, a ring pour, I tend to like a little bit thicker paint. So this is a good consistency for most all techniques. Alright, so what I'm doing here is I have no silicone in any of the paint. And I will be having a later video come out that's all about silicone and dimethicone and all that. But for this video, all we're going to do is I've taken just those 2 colors out of my 5 colors, and I put them in a separate cup because I don't want to contaminate any of the other ones with silicone. I just want it in silicone in these 2 colors, and that's it. For this pour of my silicone, I am using a Spot On Treadmill Belt Lubricant. This is 100% silicone, and all I'm going to do is put just like 2 drops, very little. And that is it for each of those colors, 2 drops. Alright, now you do want to mix that in. Now some people don't mix it in at all, some people say slightly mix it in, some people say completely mix it in. You will notice with acrylic pouring, there's so many different ways of doing it, and nobody's way is wrong. If whatever works for them, this is what works for me. Now I mix it somewhat in. I don't mix it a whole ton, but I don't leave it just sitting there at the top. I mix it, somewhat. Alright, so those are the 2 colors with silicone, and then the other 3 do not have silicone. We are going to do a flip cup today. So I have got a 3-ounce cup, and I have an 8x10 canvas. I am going to fill this 3-ounce cup up, and then I'm going to put it on the canvas and do a flip cup, and I'll show you that in just a moment. So this video, though, I want to talk more about pouring medium. So why you need pouring mediums to kind of make it more fluid, and the great things about Floetrol is self-leveling. Floetrol, you can actually get some cells, and that's the reason you put silicone, is to get the cells, the little round things. You'll see it here in just a few minutes when we do a flip cup here. And Floetrol itself can get cells, so you don't even need silicone all the time. And honestly, silicone, less is better. You can overdo it with the silicone very easily. So I am just randomly putting colors in here. Until I have this full 3-ounce cup. And what Floetrol is originally made for is, a lot of painting contractors will use it in their painting. It covers brush lines, it covers spray when you're spraying in a painting. It helps kind of leveling, it's self-leveling, and it kind of makes the paint go a little further too. All right, we just about got a full cup here, so I'm gonna set these two aside. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this and flip it over on the top. Flip over. Okay, so a flip cup. I see lots of videos on flip cups, and I am gonna tell you one little tip that I have for a flip cup. If I were to pick this straight up, there's gonna be little drips falling in my design. I don't like that look of all those little drips splashing down. So how I do a flip cup, and I do not get any drips like that, and keeps the design very a little bit better without a bunch of drips messing up the design maybe you already have, is I just tilt it to the side and let it just come all out. Instead of going straight up and getting a bunch of drips, I tilt to the side and then pull it off. See how I did that? And then I let the excess come out here. Maybe a little bit over here even. All right, and now what we're gonna wanna do is, actually I'm gonna go ahead at this point, and I should have done this already, is I'm gonna slip some gloves on. I really should have done that already, but I'm gonna quickly slip a few gloves on, slip some gloves on. And then I am going to tilt that around. All right. Now I'm ready to go, and this is how I do it, is I put my hands at an L, bring it to the L, bring it to the edge, and that's kind of my corner stopper to get it all the way to the corner without losing too much paint. Bring it all the way to the edge, make sure you got your sides real good, off to the next side, back to the center slightly. And I just work my way around getting each of the corners. Back to the center slightly. And just help it to the corner. And pull it back to the center. And now at this time you can be done and leave it like that, or you can torch it, and torching it, all that does is help the cells kind of come out a little bit more. We already have quite a few cells there, but let's see what we can inhibit this with a little bit of torching. All right guys, and that is a demonstration on a flip cup. And please let me know if you have any questions on what is fluid acrylics or what is pouring medium. All right, thank you for watching and have a great day.